It's International Tea Day today, guys. Have a good brew. So, anyway, in case you missed it, because it kind of slipped under the radar over the past 24 hours, but there's been some news about something about a new cut or an old cut that was never released of a film that came out. I don't know where it's come from because there's not been a lot of hype or buzz or push around this. Yeah, of course, I'm talking about the Release the Snyder Cut movement has finally succeeded in getting a version of the Snyder Cut into production. And I say into production for reasons that I'll talk about later. But anyway, I mean, this movement, ever since the film got released, right from that very first day, a movement started to get Zack Snyder's original vision to the screen. And it started by way of a few comments, a few messages, and then a hashtag. And that hashtag grew and grew and grew. And I know I've been critical about it, and I've said that, that there's a small vocal fan base who have retweeted and reused this hashtag and shared everyone else's posts multiple times, which is kind of escalated thing. But at the end of the day, it's paid off. They've got a chance to see the film that Zack Snyder wanted to bring. HBO Max will be showing it in 2021. What is going to happen internationally isn't sure at the moment. There's still a lot of things up in the air about the whole lot of the HBO Max output. As to UK viewers, are we going to get it on Sky or is it going to be a pay-per-view? We don't know at this point in time, but we've got a year before this is going to get seen, so let's see what happens. There's talks that it could possibly be split into a 6-part miniseries, so making it episodic in nature, and I can kind of see that. I can see why HBO Max would want to do that, rather than have people just subscribe for 1 month, watch this, go, hey, and then cancel. 6 weeks ensures that people at least stay around for 2 months, try out more of the HBO Max stuff, hopefully stick around. And the reason why I said it's going into production is because Zack has been given 20 to 30 million extra to go back and finish it. Now, this is where I have one of my little issues, because over the past couple of years, whenever I've said it's not a finished cut, it's a work print, it's rough, it's not finished, because I've seen these things. I work within this kind of industry. I have seen rough cut footage. I have seen rough cut release films on preview screenings. I knew what kind of thing it was. I knew it wasn't ready to just release. I got lambasted by some of the more negative side of the Snyder community about how stupid and idiotic I must be, in much more colourful language, for believing that it's not ready and it's not finished. And they would love to point out that Zack himself said it's finished, it's in the can. They didn't understand the terminology. I clearly did, because it wasn't finished. It was a rough cut film. They still need to finish some effects work. There's some pickups, some touches that need to be done. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying it didn't exist at all. And, I'd have been happy to just see this rough cut version, because I know what a rough cut looks like. But I knew at that point in time that if it got released in the format that it was currently in, the rough cut, all the fans who've been clamouring for it would then try to argue that Warner's had deliberately sabotaged it to make it look trashy, because they don't know what a rough cut is. But we're past that now, and let's not dwell on the negative fan base, because there's some really good people within the Zack Snyder fan base community who've been campaigning for this. There's a really good bunch of positive people, and over the past year, you've seen a lot of the factions of the Zack Snyder fan base turning on each other, because the negative ones were getting a bit too negative. They're the ones who are posting out Joss Whedon must die and, being deliberately attacking towards anything that isn't Zack Snyder. Whereas you've got the other ones who are like, hey, we just want to see this vision. We want to see what Zack did, and then we're happy. Now, going forward from this, and I've mentioned this on the latest podcast, which is up and available right now if you want to go and check it out. We did actually touch on the Zack Snyder was going to break some news thing. So this is an update on that, because Obviously, we were speculating and saying, hey, wouldn't it be funny if it was just a talk about his Army of the Dead? So anyway, on the podcast, I highlighted one of my concerns is that if the Snyder Cut came along and they got their way, it set a precedent against distributors within the industry that we now need to see all the alternate cuts of every other film that got changed. And where does this stop? Already today, I've woken up this morning and released the Aya cut for Suicide Squad. Is already going crazy with tweets and retweets, not helped by the director himself posting out a rather cryptic message himself last night. I've seen a sudden surgeon release the Trank cut for Fantastic Four, Josh Trank version. Yeah, I'd be interested to see that. I love Josh Trank. I love his work. It doesn't exist. It's not going to happen. Let's not push for it. I've also seen some more jokey ones, people pulling on like strange threads of like release the McTiernan cut, etc., etc. Where will it end though? Yeah, it's been shown now that by having a fan base campaigning to get something done, a studio will eventually break and throw more money at a project in order to get the fans appeased. And what happens if the film turns out to not be as good as they wanted it to be? Will anyone own up to it? And what if all those scenes that they hate Joss Whedon's version for are still within the film? Speculation. We'll find out in 2021 what the end result will be. Am I going to watch it? I'm quite vocal in the fact that I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder's DC output. I couldn't take to his version of Man of Steel. It wasn't Superman for me. And I've been attacked and called all kind of names and lambasted online by some of the Snyder cultists for expressing my opinion, who all say that the reason why I don't like Man of Steel is because I'm too dumb to understand it. Because it's some metaphysical like idea or something. It's just not a Superman for me. I love the character of Superman. It's not my Superman. And I don't turn around and tell people that how dare you like it. It's you like it, good. I don't get anything from it. And because of that, I don't get much from Batman vs. Superman because it's still not my Superman. The Batman in it, fantastic. Affleck, great casting. He would the bomb. But the film as a whole didn't gel for me. So I'm not a huge fan of them. But I still want to watch it. I still want to see what Zack Snyder's vision is. Because this is the close. Well, I'd like to think that it's a closure, but I do have a suspicion at the back of my mind that this film is not a complete story and it leaves a lot of plot threads hanging for a part 2, and that's why it had to get rechopped and edited, etc. We'll find that out next year whether it's a complete story. But I'm intrigued because I want to see the differences, because Justice League, yeah, it sucked. The cinematic release sucked, and this must be better than that version because that was such a hodgepodge mess. And I do not blame Joss Whedon for this. A load of people blame him and say that he deliberately destroyed it. He made a mess. He was paid to salvage what he could, put together some kind of like resolution film from what was there and make some extra footage if he needed and churn it out in a very, very, very short window. He was paid to do a job which had executives breathing down his neck at every moment. He'd already seen what those executives do to people who don't toe the line. Of course, he was just going to deliver what they wanted. That's not even a Joss Whedon film as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, let's just be clear that this is an interesting piece to be able to watch. It is not a continuation and a projection for the future of the DC extended universe. The films have gone past that point now, and this will now be a relic that doesn't quite fit in the same way that the New Mutants, when it eventually arrives, will not represent the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so there will be no continuation of. So let's not start a campaign once the Snyder Cut comes out to rehire Zack Snyder and put him back in charge of like the story direction of the whole of DCEU. We've gone past that point. Let the DCEU extend through. Take this victory, take this chance to see what his vision would have been and let's just be happy that you got it. So congratulations once again to all the campaigners who've been positive about this, being respectful, and importantly, raised a lot of money for some very good causes for suicide prevention. So positives from the Snyder Cut movement, fantastic. You got it, you deserve it. To the negative Snyder Cut people, look, just take this win, walk away, and stop being daft. Let's not pressure the industry to keep doing this on everything that we don't like, because it will never end if we keep doing that. Here endeth the rant. Thank you very much.